Hello friends, and welcome back to your weekly general oracle reading. Today we're focusing on your money and your career, and really the question that we're asking ourselves today is what is coming up for you in your career? What is next? So as you can see, I have 3 piles in front of me, and I will show you guys a close-up of each of the crystals. But before we do that, if you are brand new here, well, first of all, thank you so much for coming by. I'm so glad that you are here. My name is Meshi, and I'm an intuitive reader and a healer. And on this channel, we generally do general oracle readings such as this one, but we also get into law of attraction and using spiritual practices in a more meaningful way and in a way that it really empowers you and just bring out the best, So if that sounds good to you, then you might want to stick around. But for now, why don't we just kind of get started? So group number 1, here is your crystal. It's a beautiful little citrine piece, and hopefully you can see a close-up. Group number 2, you have tourmaline. And group number 3, you have blue lace agate. Here we go. Take a moment, get centered, take a nice deep breath through the nose. Make your selection and let's get started. And just quick disclaimer, obviously these are general readings designed for all signs. Some of the messages may resonate with some of you, some of it may not. So just kind of take it or leave it. If it resonates, then that's perfect. Then it's that perfect timing and it is for you. If it doesn't resonate yet, then it might be actually a prediction. So just keep that in the back of your mind. Okay, group number 1, let's talk about what is your future career. What does that really look like for you? So first and foremost, right out of the gate, the crystal that you have chosen. So the crystal that you have chosen is a citrine piece, and citrine to me is all about capturing the light, and it's almost like a little ray of sunshine, because it's very beautiful and bright and yellow. And the thing is with citrine is that it always it leans you towards joy. It leans you towards the things that make you happy. And especially when it comes to your career, if we're looking at what is your future career, I think it's definitely going to be something that makes you really, really happy. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. Accelerated emotions. So again, look at the stars once again, how she's looking towards the stars, how it's like wishing upon a shooting star, so to say. But I think that it's a little bit more to it than that. I think that if you're not already in this transition, then you're wishing and hoping for something, but you're also going to be picking up momentum like a shooting star. I think that you're definitely in that recalibration zone where you are sort of gearing up towards, or you've been putting these puzzle pieces in place so that you can actually move in the direction with your career where it's a lot more aligned for you. I feel that it's a lot more in alignment with what you actually want to do and what makes you happy. And then we have purity. I think that perhaps where you are right now and what you're doing right now, it's not only not making you happy, but it's not that it's not in alignment, it's almost like it's not your soul calling. It's not what your heart desires. It's almost like you don't feel true to your heart, true to your nature when it comes to that. I feel like this is also going to be in a way a fresh start for you. Perhaps it's going to be a completely different career path than what you're doing right now. So I don't see you staying within the same profession. I see you staying within the same theme of things, but I don't see you. It's almost as if it's like you're going to be in the same category of field, but you're not necessarily going to be with the same company, or you're not going to be doing the same job that you did. I definitely see that it's going to be something different. Okay. And then we have agape. And I wanted to actually read this to you from the book, but I looked it up prior to filming. Aligning all that is, like, it's almost like bringing things into alignment. But let me actually just look it up for you. So agape is devotion and unconditional love. What if instead of putting yourself at the center of your spiritual practice, you put God, goddess, or nature at the center? How would this change your approach? Such is the energy of agape. It is alive when we are in awe and wonder, our breath taken away by the sacred force that surrounds us and asks us for nothing in return. This card can indicate a spiritual initiation that stretches your capacity to love and serve, and your sense of earthy and heavenly, and vice versa. Such an initiatory moment can appear in any form, and like a healing balm to a modern soul, its effects last a lifetime. The agape card may also suggest that you reassess what you worship every day, consciously or unconsciously, and what are you elevating? Where does the sacred ladder you climb ultimately lead to? I think that the way that I kind of interpret this is that you're definitely realigning with what your actual values are, rather than just having a job that earns you an income. I think that with your career, you're definitely realigning, and as you realign, you're leaning towards something that is something that feels more pure, you know, something that feels like a fresh start, but it also making you happy. You know what I mean? Like, it's leaning you towards your heart and leaning you towards your joy. Okay, let's see what the tarot has to say. So we have the Five of Wands, we have the Hangman, we have the Six of Swords in reverse, and we have the Two of Wands. So let's unpack that. So with the Five of Wands, I think that you're definitely, it's almost like you're burnt out. I feel like you're making this change, or you will be making this change, because you've been climbing this you know, this corporate ladder. You're done pushing, you know. I think that you're trying to gain a new perspective on really truly what's important. And there's a sense of it's almost like you're grieving that part of your past, but then there's also that part of you that doesn't want to be anchored down or brought or tied down anymore, because you're kind of looking at these new opportunities that make you feel excited. Like you're kind of looking out into the horizon and see, she's looking and she's looking. Isn't that funny? So here, I feel like you're really looking at, okay, what else is out there? Not only are you looking at what else is out there, but I feel like you're looking at it with a sense of like, you want to include more joy, more fun, more adventure in your life, and you don't want to imprison by anything anymore. And perhaps that's literally going to be you traveling more, or you doing a profession that creates a lot more excitement in your life. And I think that it's almost like this whole thing is turning your world upside down, but it's turning your world upside down in a sense that you wanted to look at it from a different point of view, rather than, it's almost like you basically are recalibrating of truly what's important rather than what you thought was important. You know what I mean? And that can be in a form of you were valuing money or position or whatever. And that's sort of where that Five of Wands really comes in, that you're sort of seeing the darker side of that, where it's like you thought that working your way up the corporate ladder is going to make you happy, or you going through the rings of what that company required you to do is going to make you happy. Or if you move ahead, if only I can, you know, make it to that next promotion or get that next sales pitch or whatever, then that's really going to be the thing that's really going to set you up for life. And I think that you're really realizing that none of it is getting you fulfilled. Like, none of it is getting you fulfilled because it's not aligning. It's not lining up for you. I think that it's not only not lighting you up, but it's not making you happy, because I feel like it's like, look at it, you're burning your candle from both angles, right? But it's a lot more to it than that. I think that it's literally just a point of like, it's not your life calling where you are right now. And I think that you're really looking in a new direction with something that is a lot more in alignment with you, and it's a deeper value than just money. You know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with money, but I think that there is something wrong with how we attach to money, or perhaps how you were viewing making an income. You're sort of reevaluating all of those relationships of how you were relating to your finances, how you were relating to the work that you do. And I think that you're really starting to put, like with this purity piece, it's almost, the purity and the citrine, it's almost as if you're looking at work that becomes not only more fulfilling, but it's more of service. You know what I mean? It's more authentic, it's more heart-centered. Perhaps you would be starting a business that would have like a giving back component, or you're in partnerships with, you know, people that people of color, or people that are underprivileged, or like, I definitely feel like it's going to have a lot more deeper meaning to you than what you're currently doing right now. And that just simply has to do with not only changing professions, but changing the type of work that you do, because I feel like you're really burnt out from all of the things that you were doing up to this point, and it wasn't making you happy. So you're kind of changing the way that you're really looking at all the things that are surrounding you, because you realize that really, like, you're at work for so long and all it did for you was just tie you down, and that's not really going to work anymore. This is all I have for you, group number 1. I hope that this has resonated, but stay tuned until the end. We'll pull a couple of self-care cards and see what you can do to kind of aid all of this progression, or, you know, we'll just get you a couple of cards to see what you can do as far as self-care is concerned. Okay, group number 2, if you have picked this tourmaline piece, then this reading is going to be for you. So right off the gate, I feel like with this crystal, this to me feels like not only that there is potentially cracks in the foundation, deeper than that, I feel like you're creating like a protective grid. I think that what you're going to be doing next, or your future career, has a lot more to do with protecting perhaps your energy, or really warding off negativity. So it could be in the healing arts, but it could be something where you're providing security for someone, or you're definitely going to be in some sort of a field where you're going to be providing protection, or you're going to be protected, one or the other. Well, let's see what's coming up. Moving on. Again, I think that based on where you are today, I think that you're going to be moving to a different direction, perhaps moving towards the light, moving towards something more sacred. Definitely with the tourmaline, it's like you're letting go of, maybe you're in a place where it's very toxic, very fast-paced, and it's not only not fulfilling for you, but it's not very healthy for you. So I think that you're going to be moving into a different profession where you don't feel so drained, where it can really protect your own energy, and it protects the energy of those around you, so that you can feed off of a lot more positive energy. But I also think that, like, see, he's sort of looking at the sense of time, and he's sort of like, okay, I think that the time is now. I definitely feel like he's sort of looking into, okay, we're leaving behind what needs to be left behind, and moving into that new chapter that perhaps is a lot more fresh and a lot more exciting, it's going to be a lot more invigorating. It's almost like it's going to be I feel a sense of renewal for you. You know, in a way, it's just going to be a fresh start. That's what it is. It's going to be a fresh start where you're moving on with the seasons. You're moving into something clean and fresh and vibrant. It could be that you're going to be starting your own business. You're finding your true north, really. I think that you're, like, here's your northern star. But I think that if you're, let's say you're working for a company right now, and you're leaning more towards something, like, see, he's moving towards this leadership, and he's sort of looking at things like he's moving towards the stars, right? But I also think that He's moving towards the stars. He's moving towards finding his true north, because I think that you're becoming a lot more clear of what it is that you no longer want to do and what type of work you will actually find more fulfilling. Because perhaps you're moving on from an occupation that not only wasn't fulfilling, but I think that it was also draining off your energy, and you connected kind of back to, okay, how can I create more of a protective, safe space? I'm getting safe space more than I'm getting protection. You know what I mean? Like, I'm getting that really you are sort of connecting to how can I preserve my life force and how can I actually be of service. And I think that here, with having a sense of service included in all of this, it might be that literally, like, it might be that like you're going to be quitting your job as you were, and you're going to start your own business in some capacity. Or if you're already running your own business, then you're just going to be changing your role, where you're right in the center of things. So rather than just managing a business, you're literally going to be sort of like that centerpiece that really leads the direction, you're perhaps going to be leading a bigger team. So it could be a couple of different possibilities here. And then your archetype is the sword. I think that you're becoming a lot more clear. I will read the book on this in a second, because Kim's description is obviously fantastic, but I definitely feel like you're cutting away from the darkness as you move into the light. I think that you're cutting off those sources where, like, this is almost like a clean cut, and it can only go one direction. Like, you're not, like, there isn't any ifs or buts about it. You're literally only going in one direction, and that's sort of the only way for you to truly feel happier or more fulfilled with what you do. Because I think that where you were, it's not only not fulfilling, but I think it's extremely toxic and draining. Okay, let's pull up the book on this. I really wanted to read this for you guys. So the sword, the knife, the blade, the weapon. To use the sword is to decide. There you go. The blade separates one reality from another. The choice is made and all else falls away. And if you find a sword in your grasp, you can no longer hesitate. This weapon requires a clear and decisive mind and willingness to act. An onlooker may think that the sword bearer is hasty and violent, but the most compassionate and responsible gesture is one that is honest, swift, and accurate. Our first encounter with the sword is at birth, when the cord we share with the mother is cut, and the moment defines our separation from her and begins our journey of becoming ourself. And we must make the cut again and again if we are to grow. Decisions shape our life, and the sword is an infinite sharper of destiny. I think that you are definitely making a decision, or if you haven't made a decision yet, then you absolutely will be, to just cut ties with whatever you're doing currently, because it's not working for you. Let's see what the tarot has to say. So we have Judgment, Seven of Pentacles, we have the Chariot in reverse, and we have Seven of Wands. I feel like you have this longing of this. You have the longing of your soul that you want to be liberated. I think that ultimately that's sort of your guiding light. That's sort of your true north, where you just want to feel free. Like, I feel like you might have felt trapped, but I also think that there's a sense of you knowing deep down that all of these things that you've been working on, perhaps you've been working on this for a while, but it's just right now that time has come where the things that you've been working on are setting root, and you've been mending to it and you're working on it. And I think that you're sort of looking at things of how, I think that you're starting to see progress. So right now, and it's just the only thing that's really happening right now is that those roots are starting to take place, but it's not happening nearly as quickly as you wish that it did. And so right now you're invited to really just go within and just keep your faith. Keep that inner peace within you, because the thing is that even if it's happening at a slower pace than you wish it did, it's still going to liberate you. It's still going to make you feel free. And it's still, once you make the decision to just move forward in a more positive way, then you are going to be free. But I think that you just have to have a little bit of a detachment that it has to happen fast. You know, like I think that you might have this myth where if it's not happening fast, it's not in alignment for me. And Spirit is really reminding you that it is in alignment, it is your true north, like, but you have to have faith. You have to lean more heavily on the things that are really recharging your energy. You really have to lean more heavily on your connection, on your spiritual connection, on your connection to spirit, on your connection to God, or whoever you connect with the most. I also think that relying more on your own intuition and your own intuitive hits is going to be key for you to continue to be successful. But I think that the decision has already been made. Like, I feel that you have already made the decision because you don't feel that where you are right now or what you are doing today is a positive thing, or it's actually meaningful. Like, you're literally leaving, like it's sort of like the things that you're leaving behind are they're ready to be left behind, you know, like that season. It's like, that's what it is. I feel like you are leaving behind that season of your life that is no longer serving you, because that chapter has ended and you're moving into a new chapter where you can take more of a leadership role, or where you can be, I don't necessarily feel like you're going to be leading, but I think that you're going to, but it will feel like it's the right decision for you, because it is your true guiding light. Like, I feel like you somewhere along the way, you have tapped into this of what is your leading, what is the way, right? And I mean, it's kind of funny because when you kind of return back to your practices, when you return back to all the things that are healing for you, all the things that are recharging your batteries, then you kind of deeply, intuitively already know. But I think that sometimes you forget. As long as you're detaching from speed, then I think that this has the ability to grow and to prosper and grow bigger than you can imagine, but you just have to give it some time. This is all I have for you for group number 2. I hope that this was helpful. Stay tuned until the end so I can pull a couple of self-care cards that I think will be useful for you. So here we go. Okay, group number 3. Here is your crystal. You have your blue lace agate piece that you have chosen. Here we go. And right off the gate, I feel like you are, it's almost as if like your motivation and your direction and your clarity is coming in waves. It doesn't come, well, obviously it doesn't come all at once. And I think that you're really leaning more heavily on your emotions of how that makes you feel. How are you feeling about the choices that you made with how you make a living? I think that you think about it a lot and it kind of comes in layers. So sometimes you have massive clarity, other times you might feel totally lost or not on purpose at all. So you end up questioning a lot. And I also feel like, but it's heavily relying on your emotions. And sometimes constantly tapping into our emotions rather than our own, using judgment and using intellect and using, so it's sort of like you might actually just need to not only rely on how you feel that given day, but also use all of the other information around you that can kind of help you, make you feel safe and make you feel grounded, you know? Yeah, and I think I know why you're doing that. It's because it's like you have the seed, of, you have planted the seed. There's an idea that you have of not only what you should be doing or what you feel like you should be doing or what is in alignment for you with your work, but also I think that because it's requiring patience, it's really stretching you, you know, like Spirit is really guiding you to take the time to actually figure out what is in alignment for you, because sometimes you might be a little bit too quick to judge of, you know, what's next. And because you don't have patience, or because you have a hard time practicing patience, then that's sort of throwing off your judgment of what is actually like if something is working, like if you're not letting it kind of work its magic for you, then you will always kind of hippity hop between jobs or hippity hop between ideas and opportunities, because you're never really giving it enough time for it to start working for you. So I think a lot of it, especially with patience, a lot of it is also requiring faith, even though it doesn't really show it here. But I definitely feel that faith, and like it's just sort of like that knowing that you have planted the seeds that are working for you. Now you have to allow it to become what it needs to become. But for that requires patience, love, care, all of the things, right? And I think that when you're really connecting back to this, I think intuitively you kind of know this, but you end up forgetting, because in the moment it makes you feel like, if you're having, you know, an anxiety-filled day, then it can feel like, why is this not happening? And then you're kind of going through this cycle all over again. Truth. It's like blowing in the wind. It's like knowing what is true for you. You're looking at work, you're looking at meaningful work that is actually your own truth. I think that it's also going to be something where, like in the future, I think that you may have to wait for it, but then it's going to be your true calling. But I also think that it's going to feel like it's more in alignment for you, because it allows you to live in your own truth, right? Like I think that when you're looking at all the elements around you and all the things around you, perhaps you're going to be working in a field where you're outside more, you're going to be working more in nature, you're working with elements. But I also feel like it's going to feel like a lot more in alignment for you. Whereas what you might be doing right now, it's really getting you into a headspace of overthinking. And your archetype is the box. So the box can be a really good thing, but it can also be a really limiting thing. I think that perhaps where you are right now is you might feel very boxed in, very caged in, very limited in what you can do. And I don't think that you feel like you can speak your truth. So that's sort of what you're seeking. That's the direction of your soul. That's your soul is asking you to not necessarily change something, but just have patience so that you can kind of see if it's in alignment for you, right? Let me just read what the book says about truth. I mean, about the box. The cage, the rules, the norm. We all live in some degree within the confines of the box. This archetype represents everything that is known, anticipated, and expected. It holds us in place while simultaneously holding back from our greatest visions. The box is sneaky, insidious, and everywhere, limiting us at the most unconscious levels. It is built of layers upon layers of social constructs and pressures. Breaking through its confines requires awareness, continued effort, and bravery. The box may appear as an expectation from parents, a well-paying but heartless job, the pressure to look or behave like others. Okay, so let's see what the tarot has to say here. So we have the Ten of Swords, we have the Tower, the Magician, and the Ten of Wands in reverse. And just going back for a second to the box, because my camera stopped recording. Here, I think that what's happening is that perhaps you might be working at a job that is really not fulfilling for you. And just, you have to kind of know that in order for you to break through, it requires work. And that work requires patience. So they're all related. But in order for you to live your own truth and speak your truth and be that truth that you really want, that most authentic version of you, that requires this multi-layer breaking through. And each time you do that, it requires you to also shapeshift, right? Okay, let's go to the tarot. I think that with the Ten of Swords, it's almost as if you're kind of seeing the time pass by, but you're also feeling like, it's like things are passing by and nothing is changing. But you have to know that you are actually moving towards that breaking point. You're moving towards that thing that collapses. Perhaps it's collapsing on a global level, which it is, but also on a personal level. And isn't it funny that he's sort of looking at the box of like, okay, this needs to break. Like, this needs to fall apart, and it needs to shapeshift into something that is going to be serving everything in my life in a more fulfilling way. And I also think that with the Magician, I think that you are sort of starting to craft your own. With the Magician, I think that you're starting to kind of see in all the ways that you are, with embracing all of the different elements that you're bringing into balance, you're creating your own inner and outer magic. So I feel like it's almost like with the work that you're doing, you're creating, basically energetically where you are, it's creating a ripple effect on everything around you. And I think that that's also potentially going to cause you to just move on, to just walk away, from all of these boxes that you boxed yourself in, right? And allow things to crumble, because they need to. And I think that if you haven't yet, you will be moving on, and you will be walking away from whatever work you're doing right now. I definitely see a massive shift, but I see that these different layers that you were connected to are these different layers that were boxing you in, or keeping you small, keeping you caged, keeping you in a certain, like having to behave in a certain way. Like all of those things, they are falling apart and falling away, because it's simply just not working for you anymore of who you are, who you truly are, right? So I think that that's something to kind of ponder and to keep in mind. This is all I have for you, group number 3. Let's hop on over to the very end, where I can pull a couple of self-care cards, and then we can wrap things up. So let's go. Okay, friends, we made it to the very end, but first of all, thanks so much for sticking around. Let me pull a couple of self-care cards for you guys that I think will be helpful for the collective. Connecting with crystals, as we have them here too. I think that connecting with crystals is always a good thing. They always have the healing properties. And dance, changing up your energy around the way. I feel like it's almost like some of you are just taking this a little bit too seriously. And we have energy work. So yeah, definitely some of you will need to work through your crystals where you're connecting to them, and really it has the ability to bring you the clarity that you really need. Some of you will literally need to just shake off the negative energies that are really surrounding you, that are really bringing you down. And for others of you, you will need to absolutely do some sort of energy work where it realigns and recalibrates your energy centers, because for some of you, I feel that it feels very stuck, or it feels very out of alignment. And in order for you to bring that back into alignment and gain the clarity that you really need when it comes to your work and your life and what makes you happy, definitely recalibration is always going to be very important. This is all I have for you. I hope that you guys have found this helpful and useful in sort of what future career lies ahead for you guys. And just as always, if you enjoy videos like this, then feel free to just send the good vibes my way. You can hit the like button. You can subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We chat basically every single day on this channel. And you can hit the notification bell so you get notified. So all of the good things. And in the meanwhile, just keep shining, you guys, because you're so much more powerful than you think. And I will see you again in my next video. Bye.